Great to be joined by Princeton head coach Ben Syer. Ben, how does that feel when you hear Princeton head coach?
It's pretty cool. It's fantastic. It's been quite a journey the last 6 months, and finally nice to be getting to game time here with games on the horizon here this week.
You know, you spent almost a decade at Quinnipiac working with Rand Pecknall. Then you spent over a decade working with Mike Schafer at Cornell. I'm sure you learned a lot of different things from both of them. Is there any one thing from either man that you could say, I'm putting this into my Princeton Tiger program?
Yeah, I think they're distinct and one, they're both competitive. That's the similarities. It might look different in how it comes across, but neither one likes to lose. That was evident in everything that they did. But Rand, every day that you'd walk into the office, it was about how do you make the program better, branding, recruiting. That was at the forefront, and then everything that we did was related to that. And then you get to work with Schafe and for him, there wasn't a day that went by that we didn't do something to enhance our culture, to bring guys together. It was all about, that team culture and how it was that we were going to improve on that. No matter how good we thought it was at the time, it was always something that could be worked on.
When you think about being a Princeton Tiger, you walk into Hobey Baker Arena every single day to work, whether it's practice, game, or what have you. I know you're in Lina. I know you spent a lot of time in a lot of different rinks. How is Hobey Baker unique?
Well, I think when you walk, walking into it, as you alluded to, it has a different vibe, with the brick and just how, you just walk into it, it's like walking into a Hall of Fame in a lot of ways, and then once you get inside, it just certainly something that you can feel the history, the tradition, and knowing that this is where, the prized possession of the trophy Hobey Baker, this is where it originated, and to be a part of that every day is pretty unique.
Is that easy to use on the road when you're out recruiting, Ben?
It's certainly something that's part of it. It's to be part of our history and the longstanding, history that we have here is certainly something that we do bring into, our recruiting. Who is going to be the next Hobey? Okay, come on in. You get an opportunity to do that, and so certainly something that is part of our fabric and what we try to sell here at Princeton.
Whenever a coach goes into a different situation, they say, wow, that's a lot better than what I thought it would be. Or man, oh man, I didn't think it was as bad as this. So I'm not going to do half empty. I'm going to do half full. What's impressed you the most?
I think just the quality of kid that we have here, Pierre, is phenomenal. I knew coming from Cornell what it takes to be an Ivy League student and what they put in and day out, and then to take it, to a school like Princeton that is the best school in the country for the last 14 straight years, to see what they juggle day in and day out, and in the hunger that they have to want to be better as hockey players. So that balance of the academic piece of it, but then also that true desire to be a hockey player is something that certainly I've been extremely impressed by, and how they bring it every day to practice.
When I had a chance to coach in college, I was at St. Lawrence, and we owned the Ottawa Valley. We were really good in Quebec. We did a lot of good things in Saskatchewan. Where was a Princeton Tiger going to come from in the Ben Syer regime?
Yeah. I think you go back to, kind of the areas that you've done a lot of work in. And for me, it's been Ontario and BC, and a lot of the Ontario kids end up out in BC. But also you got to have a blueprint of guys that have played in the USHL. I mean, it's obviously an outstanding league. But also the reality of it that's maybe a little bit different than maybe in years past, although I had an opportunity to recruit a number of Atlantic District kids at Cornell. I think that's an area that we have to be really strong in our backyard. I mean, Princeton is a name across the country, but it is a strong name out on the East here. And I think that's something that we got to continue to make sure that we're doing right by. But also, like I said, to have great players that are coming in from Ontario and from BC and the USHL are certainly, the areas that we want to hit hard.
What about the major junior equation, Ben? How does that play into the potential of a Princeton recruit?
That's a great question. I honestly, I think that's going to be really unique for us because of our deadlines that we face. I don't know how it's going to work because, a lot of those guys are still trying to figure out where it is that they're going to end up. I think and our clock ticks a little bit quicker. You got to kind of decide by Christmas time what's going on here. Like you got to know. And so I think where that's going to come into play is that, you got somebody that is like, hey, you know what? I've developed as a player, and yes, I can be a pro, but you know what? I still have an opportunity to grow as a player here and have a chance to improve my stock as a pro player. But, oh yes, you know what? I got straight A's. I'm a 95% student and I have passion to be a player. Why not go and do an undergrad at Princeton? And I think there's going to be a very few number of guys that are like that, but there are guys out there that are playing major right now that, hey, this is going to be an opportunity of a lifetime for them.
I love the fact that you just mentioned the professional component to it. I remember coaching Andres Faustin's playing at Princeton, who turned out to be a really good player. And I know Princeton had produced a lot of NHL players over time. Was it something that you really paid attention to when you got the Princeton job? Or is it just something that, hey, this is what I'm bringing from ECAC, this is what I'm bringing from Cornell?
Well, I think it's all encompassing. I think you bring, right? And the idea of giving the guys an opportunity or providing them with the opportunity to play pro beyond is something that, I've always wanted to be part of and was part of at Cornell, and was at Quinnipiac as well. And you see the guys that have gone on from Princeton here as well too. Like there's, from Eric Robinson, who's having a great NHL career here. Played against him like he was an unbelievable player. So to be able to help those guys see those opportunities, but then also to be able to let recruits know, hey, we are developing guys here. This is part of our daily routine to, you got extra ice. We got coaches here that love getting on the ice with you, spending time, with video, spending time on the ice with you here. You're going to get an opportunity to realize those dreams if you put in the effort. And certainly, I think to this point, we've had great buy-in from that standpoint, and guys have done an outstanding job of using that, and hopefully we're able to continue to fulfill their passion and dreams here, moving forward.
You know how intense the program is at Quinnipiac? I mean, definitely know how intense the program is at Cornell. Have you brought that same intensity to Princeton? And if you have, how receptive were the players?
I think so. I think, you're talking about two guys that are about as intense as can be here and ran and shape within the ECAC. But, learning under them and being around them every day is that, how every day is important. Monday's every bit as important as Friday or Saturday is in terms of your development. And I think that's something that I would like to think that thus far that I've been able to bring, and our staff has been able to bring, is that, hey, if we're meeting at 6:30 in the morning here as a staff, like let's be ready to roll here. The players are rolling in. We got to be ready to go for them, and they can see our passion and intensity, and it wears off on them here. And so I would think we're getting to that point, and continue to hope that becomes enhanced as well.
I know you're coming off a 6-0 preseason win over University of Waterloo. I get that. They come down, you play them, you find out about your roster. But it starts for real this weekend with Harvard coming in on Friday and Dartmouth coming in on Saturday. Dartmouth coming off a huge win at Harvard, 2-1 this past weekend, and then beating up on Stonehill on Sunday. You just talked about practices. You change your practice based on, okay, we have Harvard on Friday, then we have Dartmouth Saturday, because you and I both know that different teams and different philosophies.
Yeah. Well, I think we're still at the stage where there's a lot of focus on the Princeton Tigers here, and how are we going to adapt to a few of those details that you just referenced here. Obviously Teddy's had some great success here at Harvard, and then Reed certainly had his team, especially that second half of last year, rolling, and it doesn't look like they've missed a beat here. So I think the one thing that is common, and where our focus is on us, is that intensity you alluded to previously, that has to be there. Both teams are going to be coming in with obviously a couple games under the belt, but you could see the fire that they had. That's different than those exhibition games. Now it's for real, and we got to not just match that, but be able to excel in that competitive environment.
I've been in Hobie Baker many times. Are you going to turn it into a little bit of a hitting machine?
We hopefully are going to see a few more bumps here on Friday and Saturday night here. So it's definitely something that we want to be part of our game for sure.
Let's talk about you for a second, Ben. You're a kid from Central Ontario. You grew up around the London area. You went to University of Western Ontario. I coached a player from there once, many moons ago, Mike Tomlak. He's a real good player for me in Hartford. He's a real good college player out there. What led you into coaching, and what got you to the NCAA?
Yeah, I think, I grew up with two parents that were teachers. My dad coached a little bit. And to be honest with you, Pierre, I thought I would be a teacher. And I don't know if it was fate or by chance or what have you. I got down to Ohio University to do my master's. And I was very fortunate to work for a guy who's now a professor down there by the name of Craig McCarthy. And his passion to teach was something that I've never seen before. And I learned that you can have a passion other than just teaching in the classroom. It was on the ice. And, so that's where I got into it. I was fortunate. It was certainly by chance. I did not know Rand when he hired me. I think I was the lucky recipient of the fact that he had no money to really give, and I was just crazy and dumb enough to accept it. I still remember my future father-in-law when I accepted the job. He looked at my future wife, we were just dating at the time, and he's like, "Is Ben eligible for food stamps?" And my wife looked at him and said, "Actually not. He's Canadian." So it was, I was fortunate, and it's been probably a different route than many have got into coaching, but it's been something that has certainly become my passion over the last 25 plus years.
Well, you know better than anybody else because I've walked your shoes too. You don't have the passion to do it. It doesn't matter. Money's not the fact at the beginning.
Yeah.
Getting yourself established. I have so much respect for your story and how you did it. When you think about the Princeton environment right now, and you obviously know there are a lot of guys that are holdovers, and you want to put a different brand in, how hard is that to communicate with the players?
I think it's constantly communicating, but I think, as he alluded to before, I think there's been great buy-in to that. And it's constantly chatting with the guys here from our meetings, video meetings, just individual team meetings, and constantly having that communication. And I think it's something that so far that with obviously we haven't played games yet within the league, but there's certainly been great buy-in and something we want to continue to keep pushing along here as well too.
You have a lot of input from alumni right now. Have you heard from a lot of the alumni? Because I know there are a lot of distinguished hockey alums from Princeton.
Yeah, they've been great. They've all reached out, some more than others, but they've all been extremely helpful. And just from talking hockey to providing any insight of guys that they may know that are out there that we need to have a look at. So there's been great communication from that standpoint, and been really fortunate to be able to have met many of them so far.
Ben, November 23rd, there's a big event happening. Are you looking at that at all? By the way, inside baseball here, Ben's going back to line and length to get on November 23rd.
Yeah. I don't think we're looking too far. Like this week is our focus. I'll be honest. We had a scrimmage with them a couple of weeks ago, and to be able to get up there and get back was neat to see. A lot of familiar faces, was neat. But at the same token, like, it's you're focused on your own group and the weekend ahead here. And so it's, other than, my wife and my parents or in-laws coming, it's and reminding me, or, yourself, it's you're really focused on the next task at hand.
I know a lot of your players. I've worked with them. Kids like Tyler, Ruben, David, Bob, Brendan Gorman, Jack Cronin, Nick Marciano. I know most of the guys, the infrastructure of your team. I know the kind of people they are. They must be receptive to your message, because I know how hard I did. I would just, are those the kind of kids you want to recruit? Are those the kind of kids you're looking for?
100%. Like it's all those guys that you just mentioned right there, like they have a passion to be hockey players. They have a passion to improve at their game. Like they're working at it nonstop, from whether it's coming in to do video, whether it's jumping on the ice for extra skill development. And then that's outside of just the effort that they're putting in, in practice. And it's been a lot of fun. Each one of those guys that you just mentioned, and there's others that are part of this group here as well too, that have that same, kind of same demeanor, same mindset that certainly are a lot of fun to work with every day at practice.
Does a portal play in at all to what Princeton's going to try to do? Not really.
Not really. Like it's pretty tough. I think you can probably count a handful of kids that are able to transfer in throughout the entire university. So it's really, it really is not an option in how we're moving forward.
Ben, if this is too inside, you don't have to answer. But most coaching staffs create goals before the season starts. Have you created goals? And if so, would you share some of them with us?
Yeah, I think that, for us, I think in terms of like tangible hard goals, is, we're not looking at maybe just flat out numbers or a percentage on power play or on the penalty kill. But what we're looking for is consistency. Like, what is it every shift that you can provide as an individual, as a line or deep pairing, that provides consistency, so that next group that's coming out is going to be able to have success. Like, did you set the table for the next group? Did you set the table for the following group? And that's one of the things that we've been able to try to impose in practice. I think our guys have done a great job of that so far, and we'll continue to do that. And lastly, I think it's probably not a big secret that the best teams in college hockey, when they score 4 goals, they have a great chance at winning. And those that keep it under 2 have even a better chance. And I think there's a unique message here that there's 2 numbers on our campus that are retired. One is by Patty Kazmaier, her grandfather, and then also Bill Bradley, both the numbers 42. So if we could get to 4 and keep it under 2, that's a little bit of a motto for us, or a mantra for us, is not 42, but it's a 4 and a 2. So
that's really cool. Patty Kazmaier has an award, obviously named after the late Patty Kazmaier, and Bill Bradley, legendary basketball player with the New York Knicks and a senator at one point in the United States. So, Coach, good on you for coming up with that. That's awesome. Spelled out time at Cornell helped you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not usually too creative, but that's actually one that I was able to kind of put together. I kept walking through Jadwin and seeing these statues, and I started to realize that maybe 442 meant something, So,
well, just for our hockey listeners, Jadwin Gym is a basketball court at Princeton. It's a pretty legendary place. Ben, I can't thank you enough. This was outstanding. I wish you all the best at Princeton Tiger outfit, and I look forward to seeing your team play a lot over this winter. Thank you very much.
Pierre, thanks for your time. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.